Welcome to a brief introduction about Stellenbosch University's Psychology Department. I'm Desmond Painter, a lecturer in the Psychology Department and currently also the chair of the department. I'm going to talk about what students who enroll in the psychology program in our department can expect to learn. Before I begin, I want to share an interesting fact. Psychology is currently the largest department in the Faculty of Humanities and the Social Sciences at Stellenbosch University. Every year, our department attracts roughly around 1,200 first years, 900 second years, 600 third years, about 40 honours students, 8 clinical master students, and around 40 research master students and 40 doctoral students. The question begs, why do we attract so many students? Why do so many people want to study psychology? Before I answer this question, I want to bring up two stereotypes or common assumptions that people generally maintain about the work of psychologists. The first one, many believe that the job of a psychologist involves charging people thousands of rands for simply asking in therapy, how does that make you feel? The second stereotype, many South Africans believe that only crazy people go to psychologists. Now, if these stereotypes were true, then that means the reason why so many students come to our department is because they either want to become very rich, charging people thousands of rands for therapy, or they are fascinated by so-called crazy people. Now, this may be true to a certain extent, but I guarantee you that students who enter our program quickly learn that there is much more to psychology than these stereotypes and preconceived ideas. In fact, the majority of students who come to us want to learn about why they are the way they are. Why is their personality the way it is? Or even how their parents and their upbringing shaped their behavior and personality. Psychology can, indeed, help questions embark on a journey of self-discovery. However, psychology does more than simply teach students about themselves, their personality, and their behavior. Psychology is also concerned with broader social, political, and historical processes and issues that have an impact on human behavior. In the South African context specifically, psychology can help students answer questions such as these. How do young men become violent? Why do young girls end up having sugar daddies? What makes people fall in love with specific people? How has apartheid shaped how people understand themselves and others based on race? What is the effect of racism, sexism, homophobia, or xenophobia on people? These are just some of the few questions that psychology asks and for which it can provide answers. Importantly, these questions are also concerned with aspects of human pain and suffering to which psychology can bring about answers and some solutions. Our department aims to provide students with an understanding of how the external world, such as our country, communities, and the relationships, shapes our internal world and how we see ourselves. Donald Winnicott, a developmental psychologist, famously said, "What all good psychologists do is that they hold, they contain, they pay attention, and they listen, they try to understand." I like to think of our department as a space in which our staff provides, as Winnicott said, the necessary emotional holding, containing, attending, listening to, and understanding so that students can safely explore the various fields and subdisciplines within psychology. Let's look at some slides in which I will explore some of what we study, what we teach in psychology. The first one is our undergraduate program. The duration of this program is 3 years. Students' first entry point is the 3-year undergraduate program, which leads to a major in psychology. It is compulsory for students to complete all 3 years in sequence in order to proceed to postgraduate levels of study. In the postgraduate program, the first one we will discuss is the honors psychology. Once students have completed all the requirements for the undergraduate program, they can pursue the first step in psychology training at a postgraduate level, which is a 1-year honors program that is presented in English. For admission into this program, students must have obtained a bachelor's degree with a major in psychology, and for which the student passed with 65% or higher. Students must also be aware that a high performance cutoff may be set in a given year depending on the number and achievement level of applicants. Admission into the program is dependent upon selection based on academic achievement. It is a full-time academic program which may lead to further postgraduate studies in psychology, both in South Africa and internationally. The program cannot be completed on a part-time basis and does not lead to registration as a counsellor or a psychometrist with the Health Professions Council of South Africa. Once students have completed an honours degree in psychology, they have the option of pursuing one of two master's programs. The first is a research master's in psychology. For admissions into this program, students must have an honours degree with a minimum average of 65%, or an equivalent qualification that is acceptable to the university. Applications must also be accompanied by a brief preliminary research proposal. The research master's program is a minimum of 1 year to a maximum of 3 years, in which students are required to complete a thesis and publish an article based on their research. The second master's program is a clinical master's in psychology, which is an intensive 3-year training period. Upon completion, students qualify for a professional registration as a clinical psychologist. In order for students to be considered for this program, they need to obtain an honours degree in psychology that is no less than 65%, and they must be proficient in at least 2 of the official South African languages. Once students have completed their masters in psychology, they also have the option of undertaking a PhD level of study, which requires students to write up a dissertation. In order for students to enter the PhD program, they need a master's in psychology as well as an approved research proposal. It is important for students to bear in mind that it takes around 3 to 5 years to complete the dissertation on a full-time basis, although it can take longer in some instances. Through our undergraduate and postgraduate programs, students can expect to learn about the following areas of psychology in which our staff members are specialized and have published extensively. These areas include human development, childhood, adolescence, adulthood and aging, clinical psychology, including assessment and psychotherapy, community and social psychology, critical psychology, and public mental health. If you would like more information about our department, please visit our website, which can be found on the Stellenbosch University webpage in the Social Sciences and Humanities section. I will end this welcome and introductory note by saying that we are looking for students who are serious about engaging with psychology in a way that is innovative and brings about real change to the lives of people living inside and outside of South Africa. If this is you, then we are excited to have you enroll in our department. Until that time, we thank you for listening and warmly wish you all the very best.